Today on Cutler's Court.
Were you both using drugs?
Yes.
Yeah, at the same time.
Okay.
And the only reason we're not using drugs right now is my son's death saved our lives. Our son passed away 3 years ago from a drug overdose.
He called me 2 days before he passed. And we were coming down off the net.
And what did
I didn't
he
pick
say?
the phone up.
Do you feel you have grieved appropriately for your son?
No, blame myself.
But you don't tell me that.
So there's an element of
That's
guilt
the
here.
first time you've ever said that to me.
We'll find out today if this relationship can be saved. This is Cutler's Court. Janice Butler is seeking advice to deal with the death of their son and says her husband neglected their marriage, leaving her to mourn alone. Plus, she's upset that he took the bill money to buy video games. She's asking him to repay $450. John Butler Jr. says his wife still harbors resentment, despite him apologizing for his past. He hopes, with the help of the judges, they can begin to rebuild trust in their relationship.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case number 1002, Butler versus Butler Jr.
Mrs. Butler, you are bringing a case against your husband, Mr. Butler, because you feel neglected and alone in your marriage. Tell me what's going on.
John and I met when we were teenagers. I was 16, he was 18. We got married when I was 16, and he was just turning 19. We've been together for a very, very long time.
You all got married when you were 16?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were getting a marriage license and a driver's license.
I didn't get the
All
driver's
right.
license. I was too scared of that, but not scared enough to marry him. So.
Look at here. Okay.
You were more scared of driving than you were of marriage?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I don't even know what to say with that.
All right.
All right, so you've been together all of these years.
Yeah. We're very in love. You know, before we got together, we were friends for a whole year, best friends. He became my guiding light, and I miss that. I just miss it. He's a wonderful man, and I know he has it in him to continue to be a wonderful man. I think he just lost his way when we lost our son.
Okay.
And stopped doing drugs because we knew drugs our whole lives. And 3 years we've been sober. Our son passed away 3 years ago, and John broke his back, and our life just became something totally different. It's like we had to learn to be married all over again.
Mr. Butler, first of all, condolences on the loss of your son.
Thank you.
I can't even imagine what that has done to you personally and to you as a couple. But I will say that kind of half the battle in this courtroom situation is in your favor because she called you a wonderful man. Because a lot of people standing over there are like, he's a horrible person and I don't want to have anything to do with him.
Yep.
So she's already in your court. We just got to get you all together in the same court.
I know she loves me. And ever since I got hurt, I felt lesser than a man. And when the drugs started coming in play, it went downhill.
Okay, do you mind if I ask you how you got hurt?
From working. I was a loader and unloader for a company that I drove forklift for. And I got off the forklift and slipped and hurt my back. And ever since then, I just can't do much anymore. So I feel bad, you know what I mean? I can't provide and be there for my family, my children,
But
now our grandchildren.
I provide for our family and children.
You shouldn't have to.
But you did all them years. Why shouldn't I take a turn to step up and provide for our family, Your Honor? And that's what I don't understand.
She knows that you're not able to do the things that you used to do, and yet you're resistant to her helping her. Why are you resistant to her?
He's resistant to everything.
Hold
Your
on.
Honor.
Hold on, I want to hear this.
She shouldn't have to do that.
You took some vows that said for better and for worse.
Yes,
and I'm
Your
going to
Honor.
be here for both.
I'm even surprised she's still here.
She's being here for you. Do you know how lucky you are, how
Yeah.
blessed you are? Because there'd be folks who are like, I'm out of here.
Our son passed away, 25
Yeah.
years old, from a drug overdose.
Wow.
And I feel like I contributed to making it okay for him to do these drugs.
Why do you think you made it okay for him?
I did drugs, the same drugs he did. He did fentanyl, not knowing that it wasn't meth, and he passed away.
So you were using drugs,
Yes, ma'am.
and I think in the court papers it says you've been sober for 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, were you both using drugs?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
at the same time.
Okay,
And the
and
only
so-
reason we're not using drugs right now is
Okay.
my son's death saved our lives, or we would still be on drugs.
Tell us about the life you were leading when you were on drugs. What did it look like?
We were on it daily. I couldn't keep a job, in and out of jobs. If we didn't have it, we weren't the same people. We got along, we went out, we drank, we did stupid stuff we should not have done. And I can see how different our life is now that we are sober.
Okay, she said she couldn't keep down a job. Were you able to hold down a job?
Yeah, I had to.
Okay, so you were working, you were able to
Right.
work, and then
But still using drugs all along?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
and
Almost
your-
on a daily basis?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
and so your children saw this
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yes.
Our
And-
children had to grow up faster than they should have.
Yeah, and it wasn't fair. And we've sat down, we've told our children that we're very sorry. They forgave us. When my son passed away, it showed us things that we wouldn't have never learned. It showed us how to love the right way. It showed us how to take care of one another the right way. I chalk it up to, if my son didn't pass, none of us would talk to each other. None of us would see each other.
Tasha, can you provide?
I held him every day, gave him breathing treatments. Look at my
Oh.
baby.
That's,
Handsome young man.
Thank you so much. And he is now the Band-Aid for everything that we've ever done wrong. He is our best example. He is our good times, our best memories, the love we share with the children that God bless us to keep on this earth.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to tell his story together to other people. People should be able to say, well, look at those people get through it. Even though they lost him, God forbid I do that to my mom, my dad.
Yeah.
All we want is for people to learn. Like, drugs may feel good at the time, but they are not good at all.
Coming up,
How do I hold it against you,
You
John?
tell me every day why you got to play this game.
Because you don't even ask me to play the game with you. You don't include me in your life.
You don't
I
even
may
like
not be able to
watching
play
football.
football, but I can play like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or something like
You know I
that.
can't do
Okay.
Jeopardy. I hate reading.
I think he just lost his way when we lost our son and stopped doing drugs because we knew drugs our whole lives. And our life just became something totally different.
so you had the unfortunate passing of your son, and it caused you all to turn your lives around. But yet, things
We don't
are
have to
not
communicate.
quite right.
That drug
What's-
isn't there. So within that time, we learned to live a different way. It was drugs this, drugs that, how are we gonna get money for drugs this? Always had something to talk about because drugs make you know what I mean? And now that we're not on drugs, we don't drink, we don't do anything wrong, he doesn't talk to me. Honest to God, Your Honors, this is the most I've heard his voice in 3 years. Like, I grieve every single day. I can't let it go. I
Right.
can't let it go. It's painful. I feel like I have survivor's guilt. And when I go to John and I express how I feel or what's bothering me with JT, he'll be like, I don't want to talk about it. It hurts me. I don't want to talk about it. But in order for me to heal and in order for him to heal, we need to be able to talk about it.
What is your reaction when Mrs. Butler comes to you and says, I need to share with you. I want to talk to you about our beautiful son.
Well, I look at it this way. My father wasn't a very emotional man.
Okay.
He was
Didn't
not-
have he didn't have a lot of care. Like, he loved us, you know what I mean? He provided for us, but he also had a bad side.
Yes, he abused you. And I think that's a lot of the reason you don't talk to me.
Okay, hold on, Ms. Butler. And so, how has this affected you? Your father's persona, how has that affected you?
I keep all my issues inside.
But a marriage is communication. It's a two-way street. It's love,
I told you-
unconditionally.
Ms. Butler, hold on. You said you wanted him to talk. So
Let-
you gotta let him
we-
talk.
let- yeah,
All right,
Okay, so he's talking.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't shown basically how to, you know what I mean, open up.
Let me ask you this. Are you willing to learn how to open up?
Yeah, but I think it's going to take a while.
I don't believe he started even grieving because I believe his grieving process is stealing our bill money for games, video games.
Stealing your bill money.
Our bill money. I put our bill money in envelopes every month because I'm afraid, like with people stealing off of your debit cards, I get paranoid. So I'll take it and I'll put it in envelopes, write the name of what the bill is, seal it shut, stick more in every week, whatever I have to do. $450 for our light bill he took and spent on video games. Video games, and tells me that's how he grieves. That's how the pain goes away.
Okay, so explain this to me. Did you do that?
Yes.
Did you say that video games help you with your grief?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Occupies his mind. That's what,
Yeah.
like his exact words.
So it's your way of, you don't have to deal with it if you're playing some game.
Yeah, like when I was younger, I played football when I in middle school, high school, and I I went on to play in semi-pro arena ball for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
And I loved the game. I loved watching it. So by me playing certain games like that, or like I like Army movies, you know what I mean, old Westerns.
Yeah, but all that stuff, why don't you ask me,
Hold
is
on,
there a
Ms. Butler,
game
Ms.
I
Butler.
can buy to play with you?
Ms. Butler, hold on. So let me ask you this, Mr. Butler. How was the light bill going to get paid?
Yeah, that part.
Honestly, I thought I would get away with it, just put a little bit more on it before, you know what I mean, the next bill came out.
But $450.
We got an email stating that it was back, you know what I mean, owed, that the
Yeah.
payment wasn't paid, and she got the email before I did.
Uh-huh.
So I
It
got
didn't go well,
Supposed to
did
pay
it?
Because it sounds like, I mean, that's the kind of behavior that you would have done in your former life when you were on drugs, just like, screw the light bill, I'm going to play video games. But now that you are not, you're being more responsible, that seems like, was that just a one-time thing? Did you
Yeah.
customarily take
Yeah.
bill money and do other things?
Before, when we were on drugs, he would steal our bill money all the time.
I'm talking about since then.
No,
That
no.
was the first time
Okay.
since we were sober that he has done any of this.
How much time do you spend playing video games a day, a week?
Well, I play pretty much every day.
Okay.
I can't tell you how long because I don't pay attention to time.
Are we talking about an hour? Are we talking about 6 hours? What are we?
Do you look up, it was breakfast, it's now dinner?
Yeah, pretty much. Some days.
It was light
If I have a
outside?
bad day, like if I wake up and I'm in pain,
Yeah.
I won't really bother.
We don't even have friends anymore, though. Like,
Are you-
he has secluded us from life. Because I
So-
can't leave him alone, obviously. It's not that I'm mad about that. I love my husband. He fought for us, he gave us money. He hurt himself doing that. So I'm not going to, like, hold it against him. But
you
if we don't
do.
have any... How do I hold it against you? How do I hold it against you, John?
You tell me every day why you got to play this game.
Because you don't even ask me to play the game with you. You don't include me in your life.
You don't
I
even
may
like
not be able to
watching
play
football.
football, but I could play like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or something like
You know
that.
I can't do
Okay.
Jeopardy. I hate reading.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, but I wanted to hear this between you two.
It's communication.
Because at least y'all talking.
At least y'all
Yeah, but
talking to each other.
It's not the ideal version, but y'all talking.
Up next,
Our kids cry all the time. You don't speak to them about JT. You don't speak to me about JT. We wanted to have a memorial. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. That's all you constantly say.
I don't want to let him go.
I'd be like, I don't want to talk about it. It hurts me. I don't want to talk about it. But in order for me to heal and in order for him to heal, we need to be able to talk about it.
Do you feel you have grieved appropriately for your son?
No.
And here's the thing, there's no time limit on grief.
I just blame myself.
But you don't tell me that.
So there's an element of
That's
guilt
the
here.
first time you ever said that to me.
And I'm not a counselor, Mr. Butler, but if you feel some guilt, you may not even feel like you have the right to grieve.
He called me 2 days before he passed,
And what did
I
he
didn't
say?
pick the phone up.
You didn't
because-
call him back?
No, because I was coming down off of a
And he
high.
wanted money for drugs. He called us for money for drugs all the time.
And we were coming down off the meth, and when we do that, we just stay in the house.
Do you think that call would have made a difference?
Yeah, he'd be here today.
No. Our lives are planned out and mapped out from the day we walked this earth. JT made his own choices like we did too, John. I'm not saying it was fair. He should not be gone. He's 25, for God's sake. But you have to let it in so that you can express it to everybody. Our kids don't see you cry. Our kids cry all the time. You don't speak to them about JT. You don't speak to me about JT. We wanted to have a memorial. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. That's all you constantly say.
I don't want to let him go.
But you have to let him go
Well,
so that he
hold
can
on.
live too.
Hold on, Ms. Butler.
Hold on, Miss Butler. Go ahead, babe.
There's no one way to grieve. And Ms. Butler, when you say you haven't done X, Y, and Z, that's your concept and perception of appropriate grieving. And everybody grieves differently in their own way and should be allowed to grieve differently in their own way. What I hear you saying is, our marriage is suffering because you won't do these things. And you've already prescribed what you want him to do. And it may not be in him to do that.
Well, I think we have enough evidence at this time, and we would like to go into deliberations and give you our decision. Tashi, would you escort the litigants out.
The big issue is he's got to figure out how to work through his issues regarding his son and then contribute to the marriage, not just financially, but also, and more importantly, emotionally.
Yes.
Now, it has been said, I don't know if I agree with it, but it's been said that I'm not the most emotional person in the world. So I get being able to grieve in your own way.
Yes.
To not necessarily be vocal about it, to not necessarily be demonstrative about it, but to
Correct.
grieve in your own way. But whatever that way is, I try not to let it affect my relationship with everybody else.
Well, and so to your point, because I was thinking about us as she was talking, he wants to.
Yeah, he recognizes that he needs to do something.
Right, and
this
he
isn't
says,
working.
yeah, and that his dad was not the best example. And so he's like, I don't want to be like him, but he doesn't know how not to be like him. I think the $450, it's a pooled expense.
He used household money for a purpose he should not have used it, but I don't know that he has to repay her. I don't think that's
Correct.
the way that works.
That's not how that works. But I do think that we should order some counseling because
Individual for him.
individual and
then
collectively.
Collective marriage counseling.
Yes.
We're ready to bring the litigants back in.
Thank you for coming back. We have deliberated and we have come to a decision. So with regards to the $450, when a couple pools their money, no matter whether somebody has a bigger piece of that pie or a smaller piece, it becomes jointly yours. But clearly you all had a plan. That was that this jointly pooled money of $450 was to go to the electric bill.
We're not saying he was right in what he did.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And we sensed the sense of shame and embarrassment that you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar.
And I'm so proud
Literally.
of you. I'm so proud of you for just
So-
admitting everything and finally saying you feel guilty for our son. I'm so proud of you.
Hold on, Ms. Butler. So, in terms of the $450, we're going to find on behalf of the defendant that he doesn't have to repay that. But I think really what is most important to the both of you is reconnecting, rekindling, and moving forward. And with that in mind, we are ordering you to go and speak with our counselor personally about how to communicate effectively, how to deal with the guilt so that you can move through the grieving process. Because the reality, Mr. Butler, is you are still here. And your wife has some wonderful ideas to honor the life that you loved so much. But you'll never be able to honor that life until you work through some things. And then we want you both to talk to the counselor as a couple so that you all you can have that communication,
Okay.
that support and love that you clearly desire, but are not being able to effectuate.
And Ms. Butler, you have to realize there is more than one way to grieve. And just because he's not doing it the way you think he should do it,
Yeah.
doesn't mean he's doing it wrong. So you've got to kind of lighten up on that a little bit.
Okay.
You can't say, you haven't done this, I haven't seen you cry, you haven't done this, you haven't talked. He will do it with the help of a counselor. He will do it in his own time.
This is the ruling of the court. It is so ordered.
Thank you, Your Honor. Speaking about my son in front of Janice for the very first time, I was nervous, but I think that I'm going to be able to get through it and maybe get the counseling that I need to be a better father, better husband, and better person all around.